Hey everybody, this is GG. We're going to get into another 12 o'clock matchup. We got number 17 TCU, who's 4-0, traveling to number 19 Kansas, which is 5-0. TCU favored by 6.5 points on FS1. Max Dugan for TCU has gone 70-94, thrown for 997 yards, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Condre Miller has had 51 carries for 386 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Tay Barber, I hardly know her, had 11 catches for 208 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Daniels for Kansas has gone 73-107, thrown for 983 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. Devin Neals had 49 carries for 533 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Luke Grimm had 19 catches for 208 yards and 2 touchdowns. TCU's 25-9 against Kansas all time. Last 3 games have gone to TCU from 2019 to 2021. Last victory was in 2018 for Kansas, and TCU has won 9 out of the last 10 times they have played. Both these teams are coming off extremely impressive victories. TCU is arguably the most impressive. Coming off a heartbreaking loss to Kansas State, TCU just absolutely wiped the floor with Oklahoma. It wasn't even close. And this was with the refs having a whole bunch of questionable calls go against Oklahoma. I think the most egregious one is obviously the fair catch that wasn't, right? I don't know if anyone else has seen that play. But I remember watching it live and thinking, what the heck are these refs thinking? And the fact is, they called a fair catch and the guy didn't even move his arms. He just went to go catch the football. So that was one of the more confusing calls, but there were plenty of absolutely head scratchers for Kansas. But no, for TCU. TCU did not care, and they ended up getting a huge victory. Anyways, Sonny Dykes is undefeated as TCU's head coach, and what a great job he's been doing. But if we're going to be talking about great jobs Big 12 coaches have been doing, I feel like you have to mention Lance Leipold, right? Lance Leipold coached Buffalo for many years. He finally gets his chance in a Power 5 team. He gets Kansas, right? And this was never a program that anyone expected to turn into anything, especially this quickly, right? This was the Rutgers of the Big 12. This was the Vanderbilt of the Big 12. The Arizona of the Big 12, although I'd like to give props to some of those football teams. Rutgers and Arizona, while not as good, nowhere near as good as Kansas, right, this year, has turned their programs around pretty quickly. Greg Schiano looks like he could lead his team to a bowl game this year. Same with Arizona. I mean, probably not Vandy, but, these are not the awful teams that we're used to seeing in these Power 5 conferences, and it's actually really cool to see. But Kansas is an entirely different story. Lance Leipold came in, and Kansas had next to no expectations, right? I'm sure Kansas fans were just like, when does basketball season start? Because this football thing is unbearable to watch. And for the majority of the time, they've been right. But since Lance Leipold has got here, man, is this a different football team. And honestly, it's going to be so exciting to see these head coaches. Like, for instance, Sonny Dykes just got his Power 5 coaching job this year, and he's undefeated with TCU. It's actually really cool, really impressive to see these head coaches that hadn't really gotten their chances before come in and really succeed with their team, whether it's the Horned Frogs or the Jayhawks. I also like to give credit to, not Chris Kleiman. I forgot it. But the Kansas State head coach has done a phenomenal job with his program so far, also turning the Wildcats into a contender. And obviously got to give credit to Gundy for consistently leading his team into contention status every year. Those are the coaches in the Big 12 that I think are really great. I'm sure I'm missing some. Dave Ariana is one that's really a great coach, and just Baylor has just not been the greatest this year, but still a great head coach. There's a lot of great coaches in the Big 12, and honestly, the Big 12 is, in my opinion, it really kind of showed its depth. It's going to be a good conference with or without Oklahoma and Texas, if I'm going to be honest. Oklahoma State has proven that they can carry the conference, but also I wouldn't even say Oklahoma and Texas are the 5th or 6th best teams in the conference, right? I would say Oklahoma State's better. I think Kansas State's better. I think Kansas and TCU are both better football teams. I would argue Baylor's a better football team than both. I think Texas and Oklahoma are still better teams than Iowa State, but we'll see in a couple weeks. But honestly, I think this game's going to be really close, but I think TCU in the end wins, and I think they cover the 6.5 point spread.